If you're thinking about selling your house and buying your next home all at the same time, I mean, sure, it can sometimes feel a little overwhelming. In fact, it can kind of feel like you're trying to pull off this real estate balancing act, concerned that if any part of it goes wrong, the whole thing falls apart. Well, if that describes you, you're going to want to watch this video where I break down how to sell your house with a contingency, how it all works, what the risks are, and how to avoid some of the more common mistakes. Oh, and real quick, before we do dive into all that, if you are serious about doing that, or you're serious about selling your house in order to buy a new home, well then I do want to encourage you to stay tuned because I do have a free gift that I want to offer you that I think you're going to find very helpful. Okay, so let's do this. Let's start with what exactly does it mean to sell your house with a contingency? Simply put, selling your house with a contingency is when you're selling your house dependent on something else happening, or in this case, it's dependent on you being able to buy your next home. So for example, you're trying to sell your house, you have a buyer that comes, makes an offer on your house. However, your acceptance of their offer, it's dependent or contingent on you being able to find your next home. In other words, you just want to make sure that if your house sells, you don't end up homeless because you haven't found another home yet. In fact, you can actually flip that around with the offer that you're making on the home you're trying to purchase, contingent on you being able to get your current house sold. Hey, real quick, if this is your first time here, my name's Jose and I am your SoCal Realtor. If you are thinking about buying or selling a home, don't hesitate to reach out. My team and I, we've helped many people just like you, and we're here and ready to help you with your next move too. But enough about that. Let's go ahead and get back to the video. Having that contingency on your house that you're trying to sell, it basically provides a safety net for you if for some reason you're not able to find a replacement home. In other words, it doesn't allow your current house to sell if you don't find a replacement home. Or like I said, if you're trying to buy a home and it's contingent on being able to get this house sold, but it doesn't sell, then your offer doesn't go through. Using a contingency, yes, it does have both pros and cons. I mean, the biggest pro is the fact that it gives you flexibility. It gives you some breathing room and allows you to line everything up, to line the sale of your current house with the purchase of your new home. This way you don't end up homeless because your house that you're selling, it sold really fast. You haven't found a replacement home yet. Or maybe it's selling too slow and you ended up purchasing a new home already. And this one, again, hasn't sold, so guess what? You have 2 mortgages. What's the con or downside to a contingency? Well, depending on the housing market that we're in, there is a chance that you could have some buyers that might be a little hesitant to come out, see your house, make an offer on your house because they know that you actually selling is tied to something else. Translation, you need to find a replacement home before you go forward with that sale. Or if you flip it around, and again, this is depending on the market, but you may have some sellers that may not be too anxious to accept your offer to purchase their home because they may not want to wait on your house to sell. Now, a question you might have at this point is, okay, Jose, well then what market affects these contingencies? If it's a hot seller's market, meaning there's more buyers out there shopping than there are homes for sale, well then it's pretty likely that you're going to have a homeowner or seller that receives multiple offers on their house, yours being one of those offers. And if all the offers that they receive, they're all pretty much the same. Well, pretty much the same except for one small difference. Your offer is the only one that has a contingency that in order for you to purchase their home, your house still has to sell. Again, if that seller receives multiple offers, and they're all pretty much the same except for that one thing, the contingency that your offer has, there's a good chance that that seller could end up skipping over your offer and consider the other ones instead. Or the other one is if it's a hot buyer's market. Now, being perfectly honest with you though, we really have not had a hot buyer's market here in honestly quite a while. But what if it is? Then in this case, buyers have options because there's now more homes for sale than there are buyers out looking to buy a house. So if buyers have options, in other words, if they have a choice between 2 homes that are very similar to each other, your house and another one, there's a good chance that they could end up skipping your house and go make an offer on the other one instead.
Well, that's just great.
However, keep in mind though, I mean that's in the case or in the event of not just a seller's market or a buyer's market. Honestly, in my opinion, I think for it to truly become a con, it needs to be a hot seller's market or a hot buyer's market. But yeah, the fact remains that they are potential cons. My recommendation, and this is regardless of the market, but my recommendation is to plan ahead. Listen, buying a home, and that's regardless of whether or not you have to sell a house at the same time or not, but this is not something that you want to just go and wing it. But when you do have to do both, sell your house in order to go and buy a new home, planning ahead is even more important. First of all, you need to be talking to not just your listing agent, but a lender at the same time. They need to start working together in order to be able to help you get pre-approved for the purchase of your new home before you ever get this house on the market. Or what if it is one of those markets where it's a hot seller's market or a hot buyer's market, or maybe you just don't even want to do a contingency? Then are you out of luck? No, there are other options. Now, the first one though you may not like, so let's get this one out of the way.
Let's hear it.
That is, you could sell your house and set up a short-term stay somewhere, whether that's a short-term rental, or maybe you stay with friends, maybe you stay with family. But the bottom line is you sell your house, set up a short-term stay somewhere until you can find and purchase your new home.
What else you got?
Another option is something called a bridge loan. And a bridge loan is just simply, it's a short-term loan that allows you to use the equity in your home to purchase your next home, your new home, before you go and sell your current house. Again, these are short-term loans, usually good for like 6 months, sometimes up to a year. But they allow you to make a strong, non-contingent offer on your next home, on the home you're looking to purchase, no different than any other buyer. Just keep in mind that while bridge loans do give you a lot of flexibility, you want to make sure that you understand the terms in that bridge loan. In other words, what are the payments? Are the payments deferred? Sometimes they are. So what is that? How does that work out? What is the interest on it? When is it due by? Just make sure that you understand all the terms very clearly in that bridge loan before you do move forward with it. Another option is to do a rent back, and that's where you sell your house, but you rent it back from the new owners, the buyers of your house. However, this one can sometimes be affected by the market too, because if it's a hot buyer's market, or maybe not even hot, maybe even if it was just a mid buyer's market. Again, buyers have options. In that case, you may have some buyers, they're not interested in renting the house back to you. They just closed escrow. They want to move in their new home, or maybe it's not even an option for them. Maybe because where they currently live at, they have a certain time that they have to be out by. So because that they can't do that, they have to be able to move in. So again, it could be market driven, but here's what I will say. If this is something that you're looking to do, it's really in your best interest to make sure that you do negotiate this up front with that buyer of your house. But using a rent back, it does give you a little bit of extra time. Usually it's not going to be more than like a week or 2 weeks. A max is usually going to be like a month. But either way, it does give you a little bit of extra time before you have to be out of the house that you sold and into your new home. Is there a best option for you when you're trying to sell your house in order to go and buy a new one? In other words, is there one of the things that I covered here in this video that's the best one for you to use? No, not really, because every home, every homeowner, every situation is going to be a little bit different. I would say do this. Talk to your agent, talk to your lender, put together a plan that fits your needs, a plan that fits your time frames. And trust me, a good agent, an experienced agent, they're going to be able to help you put together a plan that works for you. I'm glad you're still here because as I mentioned back at the beginning of the video, I do have a free gift for you, and that's my free home seller's guide. It is designed to be your step-by-step blueprint to help walk you through the process of preparing to sell your house all the way up into the point of successfully selling your house. Go ahead and click on the link down below to download your free home seller's guide. Of course, if you do have any questions at all, or maybe you are thinking about buying or selling a home, my contact information is also below. Feel free to reach out. Otherwise, until then, we'll catch you on the next one.